As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right. Today we're going to be talking about Critters 3 and 4 for the franchise, closing it out. We've been hopping through some franchises, huh? Mm-hmm. I wonder what's next. I want to do the Record
That's fine.
franchise, but I don't know. We got some other stuff that I want to do. I feel like we need to do some current shit too.
Yeah,
so.
I'm like, can we put a hold on the franchises for a little bit?
And by the way, guys, if you guys come by every week or just stopping by this time, next week we will not have an episode, but we will be back for a Grave Plots episode after that. So you're going to want to stick around. I'll probably post some old episodes or something that week. So today's episode 127, we'll do Critters 3 and
Critters 4.
So it's going to be interesting. I don't think Britni's seen these before, right?
No, I'd only seen the first one.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When I was 11.
So you got a fast forward education on the Critters franchise, which we got the new binge coming out soon, the TV show.
That's right.
I don't know when. I don't know if it's even completed or what's going on. I don't know how many episodes. I would assume it's probably 4 or 6 or something like that.
Probably.
But I'm kind of anxious to see it because I want to see how well it does. Plus, there's been, some fan films and shit like that out about it. So you guys might want to check that out. But how you been doing? Has this week been good for you or what? Meh.
It's all right.
Yeah, I'm...
It's going by really fast. Figures, because...
Virally?
No, really fast.
Oh. I was like, virally?
Virally
what the fuck?
fast.
Are you sick?
No.
Yeah, it has been going by a little bit fast for me too, but I'm always my nose to the grindstone in the computer, so it just flies by, and I don't even know what day it is most times.
Yeah.
The only reason I do is because we actually have dates that we put stuff out.
It's only Tuesday. And I was recording tomorrow.
Yeah, we had to do it early this week, guys, so we because of Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
we don't do anything, but still, I'm making dinner, so.
So I'm hoping that everybody got steaks, candies, dinners.
Yeah, I gotta go shopping after this and see if I can find some lobster tail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cool, because I'm taking him out for his birthday next weekend.
So it's what the fuck?
Yeah, this is what happens to me, because it's Valentine's Day, and then the 23rd is his fucking birthday. Yeah. And I'm like, ugh, I'm glad we don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
Is he a huge Valentine's Day fan?
No. No, we don't celebrate it at all. Yeah. So, because I was I think it's stupid, and so does he, but I still want to make him dinner and
right. Yeah, it's just something to do. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. I don't get excited for it or anything. But, most holidays, it seems as you get older, you just fucking hate life. And
basically.
Nothing's worth celebrating anymore, guys. But no, really, I feel holidays are just a way for you to remind you that you should be celebrating life in some facet.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is stupid anyway.
Right. That's one that
I've always thought that
has a pretty crazy history.
In a relationship or single, it's stupid.
Well, by the time everybody hears this, they're all going to be we already did it.
Yeah.
You guys are
talking about it.
Yeah, you're fucking late to the game. We didn't even wish it, but I hope you guys had a happy Valentine's Day if you celebrate it. And if you don't, go fuck yourself. Whatever. I don't care.
I'm gonna go fuck myself.
I really don't. There's a lot of people that get upset about people who celebrate holidays. I've noticed lately, and I think it's just because of social media. Probably. It's no, I don't it's not a big deal to me. I just do it because it's whatever. Some people like to drink at fucking christenings. You know what I mean? Because they're looking for excuses to have alcohol. I'm just trying to live life, motherfuckers.
That's the only excuse to go to a christening, right?
Yeah.
Then you get like wine or something.
Right. You just, everybody has a tasting of the tip.
Ew.
Christening's a... I'm thinking of a fucking...
Fuck?
Where they cut the tip of the...
Circumcision?
Yeah. What is it called? What is that called? Where they cut the tip off. A brie.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Everybody has a taste test.
And traditions are so weird.
Now I'm going to look it up now.
Religions are weird. I don't get it.
I don't know if it's a religion. Well, I guess it is kind of a religious thing.
It's a religious ceremony. Is it brisk?
A brisk, yeah. It's not cheese.
I was like, I love brie.
Dude, we got fucking wrecked at my homie's fucking brisk. He's like fucking, 6 months old. He's fucking lit, dude. And we got fucking wasted. We were all fucking shooting the piece of flesh in each other's face. Then like Johnny like tripped over a fucking table and drank some drinks. It was fucking great, dude.
Holy shit.
Anyway, of course it wouldn't be an episode if we weren't completely disgusting and childish. So, you kind of know what to expect. And this is probably why we're not blowing it up online. But if you guys actually know somebody that would enjoy our brand of humor or our detailing of movies and shit like that.
If you like fart and dick jokes, like, we're your friends.
Tell your friends, tell your mom. I know she's a huge fan of our show, so especially hearing me. So just let her know that we're going live today and that they should listen. Yeah.
We're gonna go attend to Brie now.
But guys, we're not going to be doing the horror shot today. So we pretty much, I was going to do one, but I was like, I don't know. It feels kind of a little overkill for this series. I don't know why. Like nothing came to me and you know what I mean? So what am I going to do? Critter Guts 2? Like, I don't know. So we're going to skip that today and just jump into the flesh and potatoes of Critters 3 and
Critters 4
right now. All right, guys, so now we're going to go ahead and jump into the first one, which is Critters 3. Brittany's done that.
All right, guys, so the first one we're going to talk about today is Critters 3, which was released in 1991, 1 year after I was born.
Booyah.
We're getting there. The tiny furball aliens that will eat anything or anyone set their sights on a Los Angeles apartment tower.
Oh, fuck.
What? Which I'm still confused because I thought it was Kansas. I didn't think it was supposed to be LA. So
yeah, I saw some interesting trivia on that.
Because the fourth movie opens up with like somewhere in Kansas or something, and I'm like,
it's confusing.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand. This movie was directed by Christine Peterson. Yay, chicks.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I was excited about that. She did Deadly Dreams, Body Chemistry, The Hard Truth, and Slaves to the Underground.
Oh, yeah, Deadly Dreams. I forgot about the movie.
It was written by Rupert Harvey, who did the story, who only did Critters 3 and 4. Barry Opper, who wrote the story, also only did 3 and 4.
Which basically means, guys, that like they're the ones that kind of came up with a conceptual idea.
Right.
And then other people wrote the screenplay.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the screenplay was written by David Shaw. And he's done Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, The Crow, Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, episode of Freddy's Nightmares, TV series, a couple episodes of The Outer Limits, and The Hunger, another TV series. This movie stars John Calvin, who plays Clifford. He was in such films as Ghost Warrior, and then a whole lot of other TV shit. So, Tales of the Gold Monkey.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Dallas. I know. I'm going to say it like I know what I'm talking about.
Any Murder, She Wrote?
Yes.
Oh, yes!
Dallas, Murder, She Wrote, and the TV series Alien Nation.
I'm going to have to write a fucking article about Murder, She Wrote and like how prevalent it was in the 80s and 90s for fucking huge stars, huge writers, everything.
Yeah. I think Frances Bay was in Murder, She Wrote, too.
Really? Jesus.
At least one other person
in
the cast of this was also on Murder, She Wrote.
It's going to be a thing now, by the way.
It needs to be. Every time I see it, I'm just going to mention it. Amy Brooks, who plays Annie, who was in Monster Man, The Hillside Strangler, and Sorority House Massacre.
Right, that's where I recognized her from, is Monster Man, which is an underrated movie, by the way.
I haven't seen that, actually. So I saw when I was doing the research for this movie, I was like,
it's hard to
is
get.
Monster Man?
You can get it on DVD, but they never released it on Blu-ray or anything because it never did well.
Well, it reminds me of Joyride.
Dude, if you like... Okay, let's put it this way.
But it's before wait, no, is it?
If you like Wrong Turn...
Yeah.
And you like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and maybe like a humorous thing twisted in like Dead Snowy, you'll appreciate that one.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. It also has Christian Cousins and Joseph Cousins, who tag team the role of Johnny, which is the little boy. What
are they cousins? No, I just it's a little redundant.
No, I'm pretty sure they're twins.
Yeah, I get it.
They've basically done like all of the same roles. They were both in Kindergarten Cop. They were in the TV series Knots Landing and the TV series Intruders and a bunch of other TV stuff.
Okay.
They haven't done a lot of stuff. I think they stopped acting in like the late 90s. I was like, did they die?
You know what's funny? I've been kind of going down the 90s thing and like watching movies from the late 80s and 90s that were really mainstream that nobody talks about or thinks anymore. And it's always kind of weird to watch them because it's like surreal.
Right.
Like it's such a different world. Anyway.
It is. And this movie also stars Leonardo DiCaprio.
What? Be Still My Heart?
Who plays Josh. I don't know if any of you guys know who Leonardo DiCaprio is, but let me just give you a quick rundown of some of his movies.
You may know him, guys. I'm sure you've seen him in a movie once.
And a lot of I put like my personal favorites that I could just name off the top of my head that he's in that I love.
Right.
Let's see. There's The Departed, Shutter Island, Inception, The Revenant, Gangs of New York, Titanic, Romeo and Juliet, and my personal favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie is The Beach.
Really? I like The Wolf on Wall Street.
Wolf on Wall Street's funny.
That's a great movie.
He should have won an Academy Award or whatever just for that scene of trying to get in or out of the Lamborghini.
Do you know that he's not actually an alcoholic or he doesn't do drugs.
Yeah.
He actually studied how to be drunk and how to be.
It's amazing.
Which I don't know. It's like weird that he's never touched drugs. Seems something highly suspect.
I don't think that's true.
No, he's straight up said it. He's like, I've seen a lot. I grew up around it. He was like, I was offered drugs as a kid at 4 years old.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense because I know a lot of people who've never done stuff. If they grew up around negative things, that turns them off from ever doing it.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody.
But then there's people that grew up around negative things that do it because of that.
Look, if you haven't shot up heroin, I just don't trust you. Just kidding. Kidding.
my thing is if you don't think farts are funny, I can't trust you.
Yeah, well, we got some of that in this.
I mean, I know, it's so cute. I was dying, just mind you. Like that whole part, I was like, I was all excited. Between the bubbles and the farting from the beans, I was like, I can't handle this movie. So cute. This was Leonardo DiCaprio's first feature film.
Amazing.
Shockingly.
Yeah.
Which I was like, no, it wasn't. Like, I had to go back and I was like, it's not. Like, and it was.
He did TV, I think, but that's about it.
Yeah, he did a couple of different, I think 4 or 5 different TV series. I don't know if you just had little bit roles or what it was, but
right.
Yeah, that's all it was TV, and this was his first actual feature film. And then he goes on to do What's Eating Gilbert Grape and everything else that he's done, which he should have won a fucking award for that movie too.
It's really weird because he went from this and to really big movies suddenly.
Yeah, it was a big jump.
Yeah, it was a huge jump.
Yeah,
I think he was in a movie with Robert De Niro or some shit.
I don't really remember any of the movies that he's done. And he doesn't have a really long history of films. He's only
pretty
done
selective, yeah.
35 to 40.
Right.
Films or something like that, which is surprising for...
Yeah, but if you were to add up how much money each of those movies made...
Oh, he's worth... Yeah.
Or how many people remember him to be...
Well, exactly. And that's why I was like, I could easily list all of these movies because almost everybody has seen almost everything he's ever been in.
Right.
And
and we're not sucking his dick right now, guys.
No, I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I'll suck his dick.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, there you go.
I don't think he's attractive, but I think he's an amazing actor. He's attractive in Romeo.
I don't know what his dick
though.
looks like.
It's probably... normal, average. I'm gonna guess.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's my guess. He's a white guy, and he's not super tall, so he's probably got an average wiener.
Guys, just so you know, this isn't a reputable podcast. Just in case you had any concerns.
We're great.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen The Beach?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I remember that.
Everybody's always surprised, whenever I
saw that in the theater,
It's one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies, period. But then it's my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Right.
And no one understands why, because he's done a bunch of other really good movies, and I feel like this is the one that he gets shit for doing.
The Beach?
Yes.
Or you mean Critters?
The Beach. Why? It's fantastic. This movie also has Jeffrey Blake, who plays Frank, who is super fucking annoying, by the way. There are 2 characters, him in this one, and then, what's his face? Oh my God.
Frankie? The
well,
handyman
not
guy?
in this one. In 3, Frank's the annoying one for me. And then in 4, it's Brad Dourif's character.
Really?
Irritates the shit out of me.
That's terrible.
Like, he is good.
He's like the best actor in that movie.
He is the best.
Other than Angela Bassett.
Yeah. Well, the acting,
well,
that's
let's not
not
get
it,
into
but
that,
yeah,
though.
I'll explain to you why he annoys me when we get to your coverage of Critters 4.
Okay.
Jeffrey Blake was in The Last Starfighter. He was in Forrest Gump, and he was also in Contact.
Nice. Who wasn't in Forrest Gump?
In Wesley, I think, or something like that. So he played in Forrest Gump. Is that what you asked me?
Oh, I don't know. No, I said who hasn't been in.
Oh, who hasn't been? Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think that was his character's name in Forrest Gump. I thought you asked me who he played, and I was like,
No, that's fine.
I don't know. Frances Bay is also in here, who I love, who plays Mrs. Menzies. And I love her because of Happy Gilmore.
Yes.
I mean, like, to me, that's like her most iconic role for me. But she's also in The Mouth of Madness.
Right. She's the old lady behind the counter at the hotel.
Yep.
Who slices up her husband.
Yeah.
And has him chained.
I always forget that that's her, too. And I was like, huh. She's also in Single White Female and Arachnophobia. And then we have 2 returning actors, Don Opper, who returns as Charlie, and then Terrence Mann, who returns as Ugg for literally about 3.5 seconds at the end of the movie. But he's, like, credited before he actually even appears, which is hilarious. But, yeah, which is, I don't know why I had to stick around through the whole ending of that movie.
Right.
Which annoys me when I go to watch the second or fourth one, because they redo the whole thing, and I'm like, fuck you people.
Well, I might have some trivia on that you might be interested in.
But what did you think of this one? I know you really like these movies, so I'm curious to see how your opinion varies going on through 3 and 4.
Well, just comparing this to the first 2, this isn't the better movie of the 3 that we've talked about so far. Haven't talked about part 4 yet, so I won't mention that. It has some pretty cool stuff in it. For one, the critters have individual personalities this time, which I sort of really like. It gives them like an individual feel about each and every one of them. They got like a striped one that makes bubbles. Like it's just unique that way, and I kind of liked it. And I almost feel like they should have done that from the start.
Yeah.
Like made them a little bit, but I understand that there were these pack of wild things. They didn't want to have to spend that much time on each character and designing a scene to make them all stand out, but I just thought it was kind of interesting.
No, and I agree that I wish they would have done that, stuck with that from the beginning, because these are aliens from another planet. They're basically they're people.
Mm-hmm. Part of the reason that they did it, by the way, this isn't really trivia, but is because they had such a low budget. And I'll get into that more on some of the trivia that I found out about it. I do like the addition of that in the franchise, though, and I felt like they should have done stuff like that just way more throughout the franchise. And they kind of do in some of the earlier sequels or whatever. But maybe they were trying to stay clear of the whole Gremlins thing, because they kind of did that a lot in the Gremlins movies, especially part 2. They got really wild. But Charlie is back, and albeit kind of brief, he's like the bookend of the whole movie. The bookends. Yeah,
he's in it for 2 minutes in the beginning, and then doesn't appear until the end.
Yeah, so it kind of sort of follows where the story left off, but in a different part of the state, I guess, a different town. We ain't in Grover's Bend anymore, but they do pass it along the way. But this one takes place in a city, and it feels a little smaller. While the second had a little bit more of a bigger budget, this one felt really small and confined to this one apartment building, which isn't terrible. It's good to have that kind of suspensefulness, if you can call Critters suspenseful. But I just feel like I didn't feel like it should have been as confined, and it would have been opened up into the city a little bit more. I really felt that way before I found out some of the trivia on this, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But they did get DiCaprio in it, his first role, before anybody knew who the fuck he was, and that means it's going to be good, right? Well, he had just started, so it's not like this was the best acting chops he has. You know what I mean? But he is a kid, so we can cut him a little slack in this film. Plus, he isn't the lead anyway. He's just a supporting actor. Annie plays the strong girl this time, and actually, a lot of the movie is centered around strong women, I've noticed, too. So let it be said that movies did this back in the day a lot more than people give it credit nowadays. You know what I mean? You even have like a Sarah Connor sort of telephone line woman in the movie too, who I will be referencing from here on out as Sarah Connor. But also I got to point out another thing about critters. They seemed like they moved and were way more articulated. So I'm sure the Kyoto brothers added some extra stuff to them to give them more life. It seemed like their necks and arms were moving a lot more, which I really kind of liked a lot. And I feel like in a way, even though they didn't have a huge budget for this movie, to make a whole fuck ton of critters, it just seemed like they were more fully realized, a little bigger, but fully realized. So this one isn't really that bad, but it's missing a lot of the charm that the originals had for me personally. It's missing the bounty hunter aspect for me as far as like that extra element that really made it kind of unique and interesting. This one just kind of goes for the regular thing, bringing back some of the same characters, which is cool. 1 and 2 are very close together in style and characters and feel. This one's just a little different, but it does have some entertaining moments in it. Even Christina was like saying, this one isn't that bad, you know? She was like, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. So I'd probably give it a rating of like a 5 in the franchise, just comparing it to the franchise and the other ones, you know? But it's not as bad as some people say, in my opinion. So what about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, that would be my rating. I'd probably give it like a 5.
Really? So it's about the same as the second one?
To me, it's a lot similar to the second one.
You gave the first one a 6.5.
As far as like enjoyment level, I don't know. I didn't think I was going to like this one either. Mm-hmm. So I didn't, I kind of thought I was going to be super downhill for the last 2 movies of the franchise. Just considering like knowing a little bit about them going into it. Mm-hmm. And then like the differences between these last two films in the franchise compared to the first 2.
Right.
But I felt the same as Christina, and I was like, wow, I didn't mind it. It was actually not that bad. Like, it was kind of cute. Like, I really liked the critters in this one.
Yeah.
Better, I feel like, than the other movies. Like, they get more personality, which does feel a lot more like Gremlins.
Right.
In a way, but I didn't care. Like, they were funny and they were cute and they had personalities, and I don't know if that makes it more, like, less scary, which is, like, the point. They're supposed to be, like, these, scary creatures that'll rip your face off or whatever. You're supposed to be kind of scared of them.
Right.
Maybe that's why they steered away from giving them personality and differences in the first 2 movies. I don't know, but I felt like the acting was pretty solid from everybody in this one. Mm-hmm. The story is...
yeah, a little stripped down.
And kind of just, like, straightforward and boring, but it's, like, they did what they could with it. And it was interesting enough. So, I mean, I wasn't bored watching it. I, was able to, like, stay focused on it the entire time, which is, more than I can say about the 4th one.
Yeah.
And I just remember feeling, like, taking away the feeling of, wow, I actually like this. Like, I didn't think I was. So, I was pretty impressed with it for the most part.
Okay.
I really liked the one that has the bleach.
Yeah, that was a really cool one. I really liked that one.
He was so cute, and then he's got the white stripe.
I don't know why it burned his eye. Like,
bleach.
I mean, I get it, but it doesn't, like, melt your face off. Like, it doesn't, it's not acid.
Well, or an alien, you don't know.
But yeah, I do like the striped critter. That is pretty awesome.
At first, I was like, why does that one have, like, a blonde streak? What's wrong with its face? And I'm like, oh, wait, that's the one that rolled in bleach.
Yeah.
How cute. I know, because it's all like rolling through the bleach. It's all burning, like, on fire.
Yeah, it seems like I really liked a lot of the critters in this. I thought that they felt more alive a little bit in this one, even though, like, you could tell, like, the story is really stripped down, but
it's just super basic. But I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it
works. I'm glad they didn't try and go insanely over the top with the story, because I don't think it would have worked. I felt like it would have just been too much, too much of a reach, especially. So it was nice to have, like, a stripped down version of it, and not as many giant explosions and. I really kind of,
I kind of wish that it would have been a little bit more out in the street, though.
Yeah, not so cramped, because it does feel kind of claustrophobic that entire time. Like, both of these movies feel that way a little bit, but they have a wider set for the 4th one, which is cool, so it doesn't feel like it says, like, tight spaced.
Right.
But yeah, this one's definitely, like, you feel a little bit like you can't breathe.
Right.
It's crazy.
Did you have trivia on it?
Not a lot, because I don't have the
Sure,
the Blu-rays like you do, and it's
No
really hard
worries.
to find anything for these that's not just like shit that's been told by everybody and their mom.
Well, even though I have the Blu-rays, there wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah,
Like,
which
I
is
think
kind
they
of
had like a 26-minute documentary, and they kind of went over stuff that I already knew.
right, and I felt like we were going to run into that kind of issue with these last two anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I found the most interesting about it, which I didn't know, I had a feeling because I was looking at like the release dates for both of these movies,
Right.
which so that made sense because they came out basically like back to back, but these were shot simultaneously together. So 3 and 4 were shot at the same time from February of 1991 until July of 1991.
Okay.
So they were shot together at the same time.
Yeah.
Which now that you think about it makes sense, but at first you're like, what?
Oh, it's especially how it ends.
Yeah. And so it's weird but interesting.
They said that it took them 5 years to come up with the idea to do a third and a fourth, and you are right. They did actually do them back to back. They literally had like a week off in between.
It's nuts.
The shooting or whatever. And Barry Opper said, look, we'll do 2 more. One will be, in a city, and one will be in space. And they didn't have like a lot of money. They literally said, okay, well, we're going to do a 2-for-1 special for the production of this movie. And they said, you give us $2 million. We'll give you basically $2 million movies.
Right.
And they said it was a real challenge for them to kind of like figure that out, but they would do them back to back, like you said. And yeah, the 1 week in between, it was just like nonstop. So pretty interesting stuff though.
For me, that was the most interesting thing that I
Sure.
determined about these movies, because like I can't even imagine doing that. The only other thing that I had was what I thought was fun. Carrie Ewells, can never say his fucking last name.
Yeah.
Or like was originally offered the role of Josh, which was Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Oh,
But he turned it down. Which what's weird about it to me is that he's a lot older at the time than Leonardo DiCaprio was.
Right.
I can't really imagine him playing that role anyway. I feel like they would have had to rewrite that character. Because I know there was like a pretty big age difference between them.
Maybe. I don't know him
I don't
very
really
well.
see, well, I know him from Saw. And was it Princess Bride or some shit? Is that what he's into? I don't know. I've never seen it, but I know that's like one of the big movies that he's in.
Right.
And I know I can never say his
can't
last
picture
name,
his face, so I don't even know.
But I feel like that would have been weird. I don't see how they could have made that work unless they rewrote the character of Josh. But I can't see his older, basically man.
Well, he was kind of younger than the girl, like DiCaprio was, so it's kind of like...
Yeah, but not like that much, though. But like an older person, like just think of like the opening scene of like this kid approaching this little kid.
Right.
About a Frisbee.
Right.
Like, he looks like a man.
Yeah.
Like an adult coming
Wanna
up
go in
and
the
like,
forest?
and she calls Leonardo DiCaprio a pervert when he doesn't look that much older than the little boy. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
That's kind of true.
So I don't know. I found that to be kind of interesting. And I don't know if it was ever offered to anybody else before Leonardo DiCaprio, but I know like Carrie's made comment about it a couple of times, which is fun.
Well, it's funny because like DiCaprio doesn't even give a shit about it. He isn't proud of this movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't want it on his resume, as the people who worked on it said in the fucking documentary. They're like, we just have to accept it.
No.
You know,
I
like...
love the picture of him with the puppets, though.
Apparently, he's like, they did a reissue of the movie and put DiCaprio's face on the spine of the movie, and he wasn't real happy about it.
That's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's like, whatever,
it's your first
dude.
movie. Like, well,
like,
it's
if you
not the
don't
worst
want
thing.
it on your record, like, then don't do the movie.
Right.
If it wasn't for that role, you might not have gotten the roles that you got into. So
It's the age of the internet, homie.
Yeah.
Put everything everywhere.
But I mean, it definitely is one of the worst roles he's ever done. So I can kind of not blame him for feeling that way. But it's on your record. You just laugh it off and move on. You've done way better stuff.
He's like 12.
So I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. It's like, you better love horror, you son of a bitch. And I know you're listening, DiCaprio.
We know you're listening.
Yeah, I know you listen.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
that does bug me though. Like it bums me out a little bit.
Well, horror always gets the like, I didn't do that.
Right. I'm like, why?
Some people like really embrace it, but
Even if I did like shit roles, I would still be like, yeah, I did that movie.
also, I wanted to mention David Shaw originally pitched the idea that he would write both of the films right off the bat. So like back to back, he would just like write them all in one and then have like it hinge in the middle. So it would end like a movie and then start like a new movie, but like it would make perfect sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to have two different guys write it at the same time so that they could like fast track this process, and like apparently it didn't work out with the other guy so well, so they asked him to come back for less money than he was going to get paid if he did both of them. So he was like, what the fuck? He's like, I offered this and you ended up paying that guy anyway. He's like, I know, can you save us? Can you save the fucking movies for us, please?
Help.
And so he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so but he does have a shared credit on the next movie. So, but the original concept for part 3 was to be critters unleashed on the streets of New York. Very much in the same vein that Jason Takes Manhattan part 8 was going to be. But even they did not have a big enough budget to be able to shoot in New York and have all these scenes. So they had to do this huge like boat scene in the beginning for like half the fucking movie before Jason hits fucking land. And then it's like quickly shot, like, you know, he doesn't even really feel like he's in New York.
Right.
Except for that one scene where he's like walking down the street kicking the thing. But I think it would have been really cool to just see a full-fledged fucking Critters movie like taken on the street. And that's kind of like hearing that. Yeah, I would want it. Knowing what they had for money, yeah, it wasn't going to happen ever because no one likes Critters that much in order to make it that big, I guess. So, but also apparently one of the lights in the building that they were shooting, because they were doing they did both movies in the same studio, and they also did a building that was like an old like grocery store that was like multi-level or something like that. So when they were shooting in the basement and like all this, one of the lights set off like the sprinkler system while they were filming, and like they were like throwing tarps over all the fucking camera equipment and shit like that, and like it like set them back an entire day to like do it, and they couldn't even find the like switch to turn off the sprinklers because they didn't know it wasn't their stage. But they did shoot some of this on a stage that they use in part 4 as well. So
that makes sense.
But yeah, that's all I pretty much had for the most part. I mean, there was other stuff, but I just didn't think it was that interesting.
Yeah.
I do have some of it tucked into the scenes that we're going to break down.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the movie starts off, and by the way, guys, if you don't want anything spoiled, you're probably not going to want to listen past here. Highly recommend you check them out. If you're a fan of the Critters movies, you might as well watch them. So we start this movie off, and a father and 2 kids on the road singing songs like most families do, and they get a flat and pull off to the rest stop where they meet DiCaprio, aka Josh, and he's screaming, "I'm on top of the world!" Sorry, I had to.
There's a boat in here.
That's my DiCaprio impression. I'm sure he gets that a lot.
Doesn't she say that though?
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it's Rose that says that.
Whatever. He spreads his arms out like a fucking airplane.
I'm the king of the world.
He spreads his arms. Anyway, so moving along, they happen upon Charlie because one of the kids, the sister's brother, throws a frisbee out in the fucking this gully or something, and they all go down, which is funny because they're all scared to go down there because it's steep, and fucking DiCaprio Josh goes down. And he's like, come on, guys. Like, it's a fucking, like, team effort to get a goddamn frisbee. But for the sake of the story, they move it along. And they go down there. And Charlie, for some I have no idea why he did this. He just pops up out of a hole out of the ground and then starts telling him the story of the critters.
He like explodes out of a hole in the ground.
Right.
It's like he sat on like a balloon thing and got popped out of the hole. It doesn't like make sense. Or like a air. What the fuck is that called?
Spring loaded or?
Yeah, or like an airbag.
I have no idea.
Like spring loads out of this fucking hole in there. I don't get it.
I was just like,
so
it was really weird. I guess he's setting up traps out in the middle of the forest to try to capture Kreitz.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he gives the little boy a space crystal, which apparently Ugg and Lee gave him bunches of. We never heard about them before.
No, it's a butt plug.
He's like, here, whenever there's trouble, if it turns green, you know that you're in trouble or something like that. And they sort of make fun of him because he goes into this story about the critters, and they go back to meet their dad, who's changing the tire on the truck. And the daughter's running up all excited, and she was like, Dad, we met this really strange guy. And he's like, I don't really care. I told you to stay close. I'm like, hold on. If your daughter's talking about a stranger,
yeah,
you listen.
Right.
Okay? I don't even have kids, and I know this. But, it's the story. Stranger danger, But yeah, he gets all like weird about her spending time to go play frisbee with her brother. And it's like, kind of unreasonable in my opinion. This is where you start to realize that the dad's kind of weird and their relationship isn't exactly sterling.
Right.
So, but they find all of a sudden, like after the tire's fixed, they like DiCaprio's dad is like talking, his stepdad is talking to her father, being kind of a dick, and you can tell he just doesn't like him. But they find eggs, or they don't find eggs, but you see eggs tucked underneath the truck as they drive away. Now, I'm not 100% sure how critters produce, and nor do anybody, but they sometimes do it fast. Their eggs sometimes hatch 2 years later. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm still curious about that too. I'm like, how the fuck, where do these eggs come from? Like,
right.
Kind of wish that they would have explained that, but
so they zoom to the apartment complex where these kids and their dad are going, but they do it before they arrive. So they kind of like you get to know some of the apartment complex people who live there. And first off, you see a lazy handyman who looks like a young Jason Mewes, maybe with like a Jersey accent.
Maybe. I don't know. He's annoying.
He won't help.
Accent's annoying.
He wouldn't help this guy carry a bed down the elevator and takes his goldfish in a bowl down an elevator that's supposed to be out of order. And when he gets out at the bottom, a woman named Rosie is like, "Hey, you fixed the elevator." And he walks away. He says, "Not for you, Rosie. There's still a fucking 1-ton limit." And it's like, and she gets all pissed. She's like, "Hey." It's supposed to be this, like, you know, he's a dickhead, so he's probably going to die kind of situation, which maybe he does. I don't know. But he goes out and he calls, like, one of the other tenants who's, like, riding him a Harley up. And he's like, "Oh, look, it's the woman who walks like man." Or whatever. Looks like, or I'm not, like, talking, like, redneck. It's like, "Fucking, yeah, look who it is. It's the fucking lady who walks like a man." Like, Jesus, calm down, fucking Frankie. But then you see the family like pull up and they slam into the back of another guy who's moving out. And it's like this big thing and you see the eggs spill out. And it's like everybody's like getting to know each other. It's like literally crash into each other.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part either. Like, why do you suddenly not have brakes?
Probably because the critters bit the wires.
I don't know if that's supposed to be what it is, but I would have fucking kicked that guy's ass if he drove into the back of my fucking truck.
Right,
like
yeah.
That. Like, he knocks a bunch of the dude's shit out of the back of his truck that's trying to move. Like, and it's just everywhere. And I don't even see him, like, offering to help pick up the shit or anything. And I'm like, I would have fucking whooped your ass. Like, are you serious right now?
I think he did help, but then that lady on the motorcycle, like, helps them, and they all carry shit up.
Weirdness.
Well, I remember Frankie goes to the basement where he lives, apparently, or hangs out, I guess. In this dirty, fucked up basement. Rats and his goldfish. Yeah, he goes and he sees like the windows busted and like this trail of like green goo that apparently he sees like an egg outside. You see cracked eggs, like alluding to the fact that the critters are out. So they probably bit the brakes, I'm assuming.
I guess.
But then they also introduce us to a old couple that live in the same apartment complex. Apparently the ones that have been taking care of the kids, that the father, because he travels a lot or something like that.
He works in, what does he do? Like a mine or something?
Yeah, they were on vacation and they come back home, and the old couple tend to watch them when he's away, which is what's her name from fucking Happy Gilmore. Yeah. But Frankie's in the basement and he gets bit on the neck by one of the critters, which he stabs off with like a screwdriver or something like that. And he comes back for more, and it like he falls down and he sees one like rolling at him in his face. Which, you know, it's like everybody that's a dickhead in this movie gets killed, so.
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
Tropey.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, you expect it. Also, by the way, the dad and the daughter have this weird, sort of typical feud with each other. You know, the typical teenager and the dad don't get along kind of thing. But it's like the reverse. It's like the girl wants to hang out with her dad and get his attention, but he doesn't even care.
Right.
So it's a little different than you would normally see in a tropey kind of movie.
But at the same time, I'm like, he just drove God knows how many hours to get you there. He's got to go back to work, you know, on a boat or wherever the fuck he works. Like, hard job, I'm assuming.
I don't know what he does. They don't really say, do they?
I think I don't know. He does say at the end, but I can't remember what it was. Like, if it's like a mine or...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
The railroad or something. Railroad. I think it's the railroad.
Something that most people don't work at.
I think it's the railroad. Yeah. But anyway, like, it doesn't. I don't know. Like, I kind of get it because he just wants to, like, watch TV and eat his dinner and go to sleep because he's fucking tired.
He's like, I just spent vacation with you pieces of shit. Can we just leave it
For
alone?
real. And then the little girl's like, well, how about we get a game? We can all play a game. I'm like, it's probably the last thing he wants to fucking do. Like, give it a break.
Let's be honest here, though. They were singing fucking songs in the goddamn car while they were traveling.
Right.
So that's usually not something families who don't get along do.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I didn't see the point in having the little argument between the daughter and the dad.
Right.
Kind of thing, because it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I feel like it's not very believable. If you're trying to make the dad come off as a dick, like, why?
Well, and also
like that to me.
They kind of like bounce back and forth between all the different tenants in the place, which it seems like there's only like 4 apartments, 4 or 5. But Rosie, the bigger woman who is always wearing her like nightgown, her muumuu or whatever the fuck she's wearing with her bunny slippers, she's like throwing her laundry down the chute, and one of the critters tries to like jump up through the hole after he killed Frankie.
Yeah.
And gets shut. It's kind of silly. But she goes down to the basement and like to do her laundry, and she like spills bleach on the ground because one of the crites like pops up, and she's like, what the fuck? And it rolls over that bleach and gives it that white stripe, which is great, which is very similar to the stripe from Gremlins. Yeah. A different way he got it, but you know, but 2 of them go after her and bite her leg, but the daughter like kind of helps her escape up the stairs, and she's like panicking because she's got her leg all bit up, and they tell her dad it's aliens with sharp teeth, but he doesn't believe them. But then they start darting everyone at that moment, and it's like, well, yeah, they're real.
In the stairwell.
I thought they were going to like use that as like, they were going to milk that a little bit longer.
Yeah, so did I. But I also, so when the first like critter rolls up on them,
right,
they're all in the stairwell on the staircase or whatever.
The stripe one, right?
I don't think it was a stripe one. I think it was just a regular one. But
it's
he
like
just
that.
He just like rolls up and and she's like that or whatever. Like, that's what it is. And I'm like, just fucking kick it.
I don't know, man.
Just fucking kick it. Like, what the like, really? And I don't understand why they're all like screaming and just allowing it to sit there and like shoot darts at them or whatever. So just little porcupine quills.
I'd be a little nervous about going over to one.
Kicked it. Like, immediately just kicked it. Like, that's anyway, like in like my dreams and shit, when you have dreams or nightmares or whatever about like rats attacking you or like weird animals or whatever, you know what I mean? Small creatures. I always kick them.
I think if this was like remade and done in a serious tone, where these things were like tearing people apart in a lot of ways, and they were like vicious as shit, you wouldn't want to go near them. And essentially that's their mindset, but they were limited to what they could do.
Right.
With puppets, you know it's a puppet, so it doesn't freak you out.
It's the same thing that I always felt with like Puppet Master and Chucky. Just fucking kick it.
Plus they do this silly thing again with bowling. I don't know why bowling is coming back for a second fucking round.
That was so funny.
Like for this, so they're running up the stairs, and she grabs like one of those old ass ashtrays that they used to leave on the like, you know, in hotels
like
and
a
shit.
Big metal ashtray.
Yeah, it's like a tin can with an ashtray on top of it, and she picks it up, and it's like intercut with like somebody bowling, and it's like she lines it up, and she's going down the field. It looks like it's going for a strike, and she throws it, and then like all the critters go flipping up in the air as it makes the bowling crack noise again.
Stupid.
Apparently, that was the director's, Christine Peterson's, idea.
Like, it's stupid, but it works at the same time.
It's pretty fucking silly, dude.
It was, but I still laughed at it. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a Critters movie if it didn't have the silliness in it, I think. At least up until this point. Like, you kind of expect it.
Right.
But also, meanwhile, you got Josh, DiCaprio's character. They have his stepdad cut the telephones because he's the landlord. You find out he's the landlord. He's trying to teach his stepson, the ropes. He's like, one day you're going to be taking over this place and screwing people over. He's like, this is how you do it. You cut the telephones so that they can't call their fucking, what was it? They can't call their social security.
Their social security people or whatever. Their welfare people.
Yeah, the welfare or whatever.
The fuck he's saying. Like,
you want to watch them panic?
In the, like, before Frank gets killed or whatever, like, we learn a pivotal, like, plot point.
Oh, that he's working for him?
Yeah, so, like, we don't know who he's working for, or, like, who the landlord is just yet, but we find out he's working with the landlord, like, they're in fucking cahoots with each other. So Frank is, like, releasing the rats into people's rooms, or people's houses and shit, and, like, not fixing the elevator, and, like, having all these other problems, and not helping people with stuff to basically drive people out of the apartment, because Josh's stepdad or whatever, which is the landlord, they want to build some like fucking mini mall there or some shit. And instead of offering the people relocation money like they're supposed to,
they're keeping it.
Yeah, and they're just trying to get these people to leave on their own accord.
Right, so they can keep all the extra money, right?
Right, and so that's the whole, so you definitely don't feel bad for Frank when he dies.
Well, I think he's going to be, they're selling the property to be able to move I don't know if he's building the mall. But I know that he's like, that's where the mall's going to be.
Well, he's part of it. Yeah, I think
you may be right.
He's like a developer or something.
Yeah, they get to keep the money if people move out on their own, essentially.
Well,
but yeah.
Not legally.
Not legally, I guess, yeah. But so they cut out the lights too at this point in time. And like, I don't know why. Like, I just don't get it. Because I guess at this point he's tired of them and he just wants them out. So he's just kicking them out without any money or anything, I guess. And they go upstairs, him and Josh, the stepdad and Josh, and there's like 3, looks like heads sitting on the couch watching the...
Julia Childs.
Yeah, Julia Childs, like, cut up a chicken. And which is another thing, because in Critters Part 2, they have like a fake Julia Childs woman doing a TV show. The casserole.
It's funny. I heard like the first 2 words that TV says before it even shows it. I'm like, fuck, Julia Childs.
Fuck yeah, dude. I used to watch it. I didn't watch it, but every time I knew, I heard her voice because it was always so unique. But
it is, yeah.
But the landlord is like been pushing his stepson, which is DiCaprio's character, Josh, and he keeps calling him sport, and DiCaprio gets pissed, and he's like, stop calling me sport. He's like, and slams the door shut on the dad. He said, I hate you, and I wish you were dead. And he shut the door on him, and he gets shredded, which of course, they eat him to death.
Turn around, yeah.
Right.
They look like they're wearing lipstick because they have blood all over their faces. So I was like, they're so cute.
But it's like, I don't know. I thought that was like really funny. But then Marcia comes to the rescue. She's the Sarah Connor chick. Totally reminds me of her for some reason, like a Terminator 2 style Sarah Connor, where she's like a badass. But anyway, she comes up to help him and they can't open the door and he dies. He's like, he's dying in there. Well, there's nothing we can do, she says.
Yeah, I was just like, get over it.
And then one of the fucking another critter tries to attack them and she shoves a flare in its mouth and it swallows it and goes down the laundry chute. And like, you see its belly glowing and everything like that. Apparently, by the way, in that scene, she was supposed to stop short and not stick it in the puppet's mouth.
Oh, no.
So literally, there's someone's hand in there. They didn't say if they got hurt or not, but they said that they just got carried away in the moment. And he was like looking on the monitor of the puppet and he was like, holy shit, there's a fucking flare in my hand. Yeah. So it's really funny. But everybody goes, of course, that they all hid in the old couple's apartment, and the old crazy man who spoke of aliens, the people that took care of the kids, he's always talking about aliens because, that's...
You always got to have a weirdo.
Yeah, you got to have that weirdo, but who actually is true in these type of movies.
But we don't have Charlie for this time, for this one right now.
Right.
So we got to have the kooky old man.
Who confirms it with Charlie later, but they keep saying, oh, it's rats, the rats. And he's like, that ain't no rats. You ever seen it? The rats don't do that. And he shows him a quill. That's what it is. He shows him a quill and he's like, rats don't shoot quills out of their bodies. Like, that ain't no rat. But they realize they have to protect themselves, and so they're like, do you have a gun? And he's like, well, I got this old World War I gun that, and they're like, yeah, never mind. And like, they kind of blow it off. And then Mrs. Menges, she's all like, how about this? And she pulls up a meat cleaver and wields it like a fucking old woman warrior.
She's such a badass.
It totally reminded me of how she can switch from sweet to dark in The Mouth of Madness at that point. But I thought it was really funny. But they eventually find that they have to go up into the attic in their apartment while the critters are trying to bust through, I guess. And there's like the dead road flare critter in the basement that starts a fire. So it's like this fire is starting to build in the bottom basement while they're fucking trying to escape. And they're punching and kicking critters in the face. Sarah Connor lady.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just fucking kick them. Like, if she comes in about 10 minutes later and starts just kicking
She takes them
I'm
out.
Like, get them, bitch. That's all they should have done.
But I didn't understand why they didn't kick the ladder out.
Roll at you.
Why didn't they kick the ladder out?
I don't think they thought about it.
I was like, dude, they can probably climb up the ladder. Why didn't you kick it out?
Yeah, they got working little arms.
Yeah, I did. And then there was a funny part when they're in the attic, like the old man, Mr. Menzies, and Annie, the daughter, the girl. He's like trying to get through. He's like trying to bust through the roof to get onto the roof or whatever. There's like the door with like a padlock, and it looks like it's breaking as they're pushing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, it won't open." And she's like, "Let me try." And she's like, "Well, it won't open." I'm like, he just said that.
I know. Kick it.
They could totally
Kick
get
it.
through that. Yeah.
Kick it.
Like
Fuck.
there's enough ways that you could figure
Let
it out.
fucking Sarah Connor have a crack at it. Like, she'll kick it open.
Yeah, like karate chop
that was like the
shit.
thinnest, like plyboard ass fucking little door I've ever seen.
Dude, and it was cracking on the other side when
Yeah.
you saw it. But,
Oh,
you know, for the
Lord.
sake of the story.
Yeah.
So the Sarah Connor lady, Marcia, decides to climb out on the ledge. And she's like climbing on these wires that are on the side of the building.
Yeah, she's trying to tie into the phone line because she works for the telephone company.
She's a lineman.
You guys.
A line woman.
Yeah, she works for the telephone company, so she knows what she's doing.
Right. She falls, and there's this like really comical like scene where she's about to hit her head on the ground, but you realize her foot's still attached to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
So she just barely, and she's like, "Oh, thank God." And then she tries to swing back and forth to get to the telephone to make a phone call
Payphone.
at the payphone, like one of those old Bill and Ted phones, which is really silly. You know, like she's just swinging there the whole fucking rest of the movie, by the way.
I know. I'm like, why did the critters not go and eat her? Like, I thought she was gonna.
They couldn't get out, I guess.
Oh, stupid.
They can bust through every other door, but that one.
Not that one. Apparently.
But the critters, they at this point in time, the critters are like making a big mess in the kitchen, like eating beans, like desserts and dish
One's
detergent.
eating dish soap. I was
Yeah.
like, why is it eating dish soap? Like, and then it all makes sense.
That's
later.
totally a fucking Gremlins thing. Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah,
ding,
all they're
ding.
all talking to each other and like, I just.
They're like pouring flour on top of each other, like all over the place. It's a really messy scene.
I know. I was like, why are they making such a fucking mess?
Apparently,
Rude.
that scene made such a mess that the Kyoto brothers, who...
Well, yeah, because the puppets are all covered in shit now.
Yeah, they said that they were not too happy about that because they were telling this funny story about how that scene was actually one of the earlier scenes in the entire shoot process. And they were like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, don't
They
those-
came back with like food and like flour and like there was even a scene like they were singed by fire.
Mhm.
And the reason why is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this in this movie, but when they're in that room and they're throwing flour around, there is a candle sitting there. Now, there is such thing as a silo fire, and they were saying that that's how silos fires happen, is that the flour will ignite and catch all the other stuff and then just blow out this big flame of fire. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever taken like creamer, powdered creamer, and then like put a lighter underneath it?
No.
It just like goes up and it's like, he said the whole room apparently filled with fire,
Sweet.
and like nobody was hurt, of course, but they had to spend the rest of the night like trying to clean up these puppets. And they were like supposed to be back at like 7 a.m. They were like, well, yeah, that's not happening. Maybe noon.
I know, because the one is literally covered in beans.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely covered in beans. I'm like, that's so fucking gross.
They were not happy about it, but they,
well, yeah,
you
because
know.
don't those cost like thousands of dollars to like produce one fucking puppet?
Yeah, and not only that, it's like, dude, they didn't have the budget to be making more. That's why they only stuck to a couple of critters in this movie.
Right, you'd think that they would have figured to shoot that last, but whatever.
Right. I don't know why they did either, but meanwhile, after this happens in the kitchen, Annie falls in the elevator shaft and happens upon a screaming critter whose mouth opens up and it's like screaming like an opera singer. Ah! And it's like you can see its little uvula
Yeah.
like flipping around
Oh.
and glass is like breaking on the shelves and stuff. And they're like, oh shit, Blackie's in trouble.
I know, Blackie.
Yeah. Well, they all had
Or-
names. There's like Bleach, Blackie, Bubbles, and like something else. They named them all.
Farting.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, that's right. We forgot to mention the farting noise and
It's fucking hilarious.
they're all laughing about it.
Yeah, because the one, obviously, that ate the beans is going to fart. So
Right.
He just farts for like 10 minutes on top of the stove. It's ridiculous.
Like they had to have that in
and
there.
the one's like laughing out bubbles, and the one that ate the soap, and then the one's throwing flour all over them, and they're all dancing.
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it's so stupid, but then it was so adorable at the same time.
It is kind of
so I
cute.
didn't even care, like, because I think they're
Especially
the little critters are
how
cute.
articulated they are. It kind of makes it even better.
Yeah, I think they're really cute. So
But after Annie falls into the elevator, she tries to go down through the elevator, and like she gets surrounded by critters in the bottom floor, and then Charlie screams like fucking like what the fuck is this, like George of the Jungle? Oh! I'm like, what the fuck?
he does that like twice, and I don't understand. I didn't get it the first time, and then why he had to do it the second time, I don't fucking know.
He blows a big hole in the side of the building, killing all the like one of the critters.
Yeah.
And then shoots another, basically leaving like 3 at this point. And they escape through. Her and Annie and Charlie go through the elevator shaft and try to climb up. And suddenly, all of a sudden, the powerless building has the elevator go up. I don't know why. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it shoots up to the attic where everybody else is, so that they don't have to stumble to get back up, I guess. But Rosie's all like, who is that hunk? Hey, that came in with your daughter.
That was okay. So that's like my favorite scene
because they had the music and shit. Yeah,
he gets a slow. Like if he had hair, he would have had his like hair flip moment.
Yeah,
like he gets this slow motion ass like I can't believe it's not butter.
Dreamweaver.
Oh my god, that's what my coffee's called, by the way. Dreamweaver.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I thought of it. Oh, okay. Anyway, it was so stupid. But it was just perfect at the same time.
It
like,
is pretty fun.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Because it's not Charlie's not like the biggest looker, but
God no. But it's just it works and it's funny and I laughed really hard, probably harder than I should have. Same with like the critter that was farting. Like I was laughing so hard. And I don't understand, but again, I'm like 12, so
well,
give me a fart joke, I'm gonna laugh at it. And then like that, like it literally was so what Fabio-esque. Like
right.
He's just missing long, glorious hair because he just like gets this slow motion with the music and the like super cheesy 80s music in the background. Like he's such an uber hunk. Like like 10 seconds. And I'm
she's
like,
all like hanging all over him during the movie, by the way.
Thank you for saving us. Thank you. He's like, okay.
By the way, like after this, they're all like trying to figure out what they're going to do next. And the kids are like, what about Marcia? And I was telling Christina when we watched this point, I was like, you see Marcia hanging from the wire and she's on fire screaming for her life. Like, if they would have cut to that, I would have fucking lost it, dude.
Oh, my God. That would have been great. I mean, it would have been sad.
Because the fire's in the basement and she's
She's
literally
right
hanging
there.
right there by it.
Yeah,
so it's like... That would have been great.
I forgot about her, like, most of the movie. Like,
well, yeah, they just show her
she's
swinging
still
every now and
swinging.
often. Yeah.
Okay. And she's trying to use the payphone. I'm like, bitch, you got 25 cents? Are you going to make a phone call? Like, here I go. I hate operators or whatever. I'm like, what is going on?
But the critters, they finally make their way into the attic and they trap the striped one. It like rolls really fast like Sonic the Hedgehog and shoots at the old man and he wraps the blanket around it. And then fucking DiCaprio goes ham on beating it with a mag light. He's just, you see like the green blood coming through the blanket. It's kind of like, he's just like going ham on that fucking thing, dude.
He went a little crazy.
And then you see like one of the other critters is blowing bubbles like everywhere he goes. So he's like always, every time he like makes a noise, bubbles come out, which is kind of cute. But it comes after like Mrs. Menges, the old lady, and she like literally just chops it in one shot, like with a fucking like,
giant ass cleaver.
Dude, that was cool. And then you see the bubbles come out of its open.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hilarious.
I thought that was kind of fun.
It was. That was a cute little touch. I was like, oh.
And then this is where
Those are its death bubbles.
earlier in the movie, like apparently Charlie dropped this like electronic bullet or something, and like
No, Leonardo DiCaprio found it in the forest.
Right.
After he launched himself out of that hole.
Right. And then he was like, I don't know what it is. Looks like some sort of electronic bullet, and they use it somehow to like shoot one of the other critters out of the window, and then it like shoots into the sky and explodes like a firework. So it's kind of ridiculous because it didn't blow up.
Yeah, it's weird.
It like blew up, and then it like you could see it swinging towards the camera, and then it exploded. So it was like delayed. So I don't know. It was probably just a mess up on their part. I only had one shot to not miss this opportunity.
You only get one shot.
But the
Mom spaghetti.
You find out that the striped one isn't dead. The one that got fucking like smashed with a mag light under the thing, and it climbs to the roof and starts to charge at the little boy who's sitting on the edge of the roof for no fucking reason. Like,
seriously,
why are you leaving a 5-year-old sitting on the edge of a roof?
Yeah, well, he's trying to look for the chick that's dangling from a cord.
Oh yeah, Marsha.
Yeah, he's trying to make sure she's okay.
But he's just sitting
5.
there by himself, though. Like, you just don't do that.
No, I mean, these aren't the best, like, people around. He is 5, so he's gonna do what he wants, but...
Well, you see the striped creature fucking critter go spin up like fucking Sonic the Hedgehog again, and then dart out, and Charlie sees it and jumps and grabs the critter as it's launching at the child. He sort of taps the little kid as he's jumping or something. I don't know what happens.
I was like, and he still falls off the roof anyway. Like, the fuck?
You see like little Timmy fall backwards. I don't know what his fucking name is. Little Johnny fall back, and his sister catches him. And it's this really funny struggle to keep a 40-pound child, if that.
Yeah, but she's not much bigger.
Yeah, but come on, just grab him and pull him up. But they're having this struggle, and they're like, hang on, Johnny. He's like, my hand is slipping. At that moment, I was like picturing in my mind her going, you remember that time you told Dad about me smoking pot?
Yep.
Fuck
Bye.
you.
Like, be an only child. Do the thing.
Now Dad'll love me more.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, you're upset that your dad doesn't spend enough time with you. Drop your brother.
It's fucked up.
Murder. It's fine. It'll look like an accident.
So anyway, she throws the child out into the street, and it hits its head.
She just flips him off, and she lets him go, and
it hits its head on a car, and then rolls out like with its leg broken.
It's pretty great.
I'm just out of control.
His eyes popping out.
No, she saves the kid, and everyone is happy, and then it's the daytime, and like the whole building is on fire, and
well, they're all still screaming help at the top of this building, and I'm like, where are they?
Yeah.
You know, like that's another thing that makes me not understand or believe that it's supposed to be Los Angeles, is because it's like
I thought it was supposed to be New York. I got so confused.
Like no one around. Yeah. They're in like an industrialized area, when they're like the only apartment building around, apparently, and like no one's out there, and I'm like, this is not Los Angeles.
Well, that's right. It is supposed to be in like a city of some sort, but yeah, because like Grover's Bend is in Santa Clarita technically, and I don't know. It's so confusing where everything is in the movie.
It's dumb.
But everyone is happy, and Charlie's in the basement making some sort of like double checking to make sure there's no crate eggs laying around or something like that. And he finds a couple in the dryer, and he pulls them out, and he's like, I'm gonna take these out. Basically, points his gun at it, and his chest goes off like an alarm. And it's that electronic doodad that Ugg gave fucking Bradley in the first movie, and it's like, he drops it or something, and it shines something on the wall. It's like a laser, and it's Ugg, and he's breaking some sort of code, because these are literally the last 2 critter eggs in the entire galaxy or
not allowed
universe.
To destroy them because they're the last. You can't destroy something that's about to be extinct. So he's gonna send a fucking retrieval receptacle or whatever specimen thing to pick
pod
to pick the eggs up, and he wants Charlie to put the pod or the eggs in the pod and then send them on their way. Which
it crashes through several layers of the building, apparently, into the basement where he's at, and that's where it says "to be continued."
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it.
But the worst part about all of that was that they break up this whole sequence, like this last scene, this like 5 minutes of this last scene, they extend because they're stopping it every like 30 fucking seconds to show the credits.
Right.
And I'm like, this is completely unnecessary and annoying, especially when you start watching the 4th one and it's the same shit you just watched.
Well, I think what it is that they had already kind of gained some sort of notoriety for people waiting at the end of the trailer to find out what happened next. And so they were just trying to kind of like bleed it out because they knew they were doing the next one and it was going to come out a year later or something. So
It's dumb.
But
I didn't like it.
So the next movie we have, obviously, in the franchise, the last movie is Critters 4. And that came out technically a year later, although IMDb sometimes posts the time when it was made rather than when it released. But the story of Critters 4 is, after being cryogenically frozen and waking up on a space station in the near future, the critters aim to have the unwitting crew for lunch or dinner. Who knows what time it is
Whatever.
in space.
No one knows.
Also, the movie is directed by, and partial story credit by, Rupert Harvey, which you already mentioned. Barry Opper also was the original producer from all these movies, so he also helped with the story on that. Got a screenplay by David J. Shaw, who we already mentioned in the last one, so there's no need to go over it again. Some of the cast, of course, we have Don Opper returns as Charlie again. Terrence Mann returns as Ugg / Johnny Steele. And we got a new guy, Paul Whitthorne, excuse me. And his name is Ethan in this movie. He's like an engineer in space or whatever. He was in the Hey Dude TV series, the Flash TV series in the 90s, and a movie called Prey of the Chameleon, which I've never seen, but I watched the trailer just out of curiosity. It looks terrible. It's about a woman who's a serial killer, and she takes over people's lives like in single white female style, and then like kills them or something.
Cool concept. Probably poorly executed.
It didn't look really great. Also, it has Anders Hove, who is Captain Rick the Dick.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Dick.
that's what I called him.
It's fucking gross.
He's Radu in all the Subspecies movies, 1 through 4, I guess. I think there might be more, but he was in those, all the way up to The Awakening. He was also in Nymphomaniac Volume 1, Lars von Trier movie. He's also in Terribly Happy. It just looked interesting name. Quite a few other movies. He is from Greenland, so I'm sure he probably has some movies out there that some of us may not have heard of, but sorry if I missed anything. Also stars the great Angela Bassett, who is Fran, who was also in the Flash 90s TV show and might be part of the reason why she got this role.
Probably.
She was also in Boys in the Hood, Malcolm X, Innocent Blood, Vampire in Brooklyn, Strange Days, Green Lantern, Black Panther, American Horror Story, as many characters, including the one coming up, apparently. It also stars Brad Dourif, who plays Albert. We already kind of talked about what he's done. Obviously, Chucky, Derp, any of the Child's Play movies other than the new one that's coming out, by the way.
I don't know. He's not going to be in that at all?
Nope.
Fucking sucks.
They wanted to start a whole new thing, so.
Whatever.
They also he was in the movie Dune, the Lynch version. He was in Blue Velvet, another Lynch movie. Murder, She Wrote. The Exorcist 3, Spontaneous Combustion, Graveyard Shift, and many, many, many more.
Lord of the Rings too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also, another guy that we've also talked about here in the past is Eric Dare. I think that's how you say his name. He plays Bernie as the pill popper. He's in Twin Peaks show, the new and old one, the movie. He's also in Starship Troopers, Lost Highway, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. Better watch out!
Oh, yeah, okay.
Remember? He was the guy that, didn't help the girl when she was getting manhandled through the door.
Mm-hmm.
He was the brother, I think, in that movie, right?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
He looks a little different in this one,
He
but
looks like he's trying to be, what's his name?
I always think of him as Bobby in Twin Peaks.
Ponytail.
Yeah.
Not Sylvester Stallone, but is it Stallone? He looks like he's trying to be
Steven Seagal.
Steven
maybe?
Seagal.
Yeah.
There it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
He looks like he's trying to be Steven Seagal.
Might be, yeah.
Especially in this movie. I'm like, good God.
This, very much like part 3, by the way, is straight to video, of course. The creatures, again, like all the Critters movies, are done by the Kyoto brothers, so nothing new there. But what did you think about this movie, Britni?
I don't know. I
You don't know?
I don't know. It's hard for me to form an opinion on it because it's I kind of liked it, but I also hated it at the same time.
Right.
I want to know where the critters are for 90% of the film. I don't feel like there's a lot of them in it.
Yeah.
So I don't really see the point of it being part of the franchise if they're not really included.
Yeah.
Because combined, they're probably only in the movie for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Ish. I'm surprised that I'm not that surprised that Brad Dourif's a part of it, to be honest, like, because he's done some other
not so great
shit. But Angela Bassett, I'm like, how the fuck did you land her?
Yeah,
for this fucking movie.
That's like right before she blew up too.
I like lost my shit when I saw that she was in this. I was like, Angela, like it comes on the credit, Angela Bassett. What the fuck?
I know. Christine was like, she looks familiar, and she fell asleep and then went to bed, and I was like, that's Angela Bassett, baby.
Yeah, like I thought she was gonna have a small-ish kind of role. I didn't think she was gonna be like that, prevalent of a character. But she's in it from the entire like start to finish, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Good on them for like not killing a black character off. By the way.
Yeah, she pretty much.
That's pretty cool. She goes to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So she gets slapped real fucking hard, which I was like, wow.
It's a very diverse movie. Yeah, but she also beats the shit out of some people too.
Dude,
so
she's fucking great. Like it's Angela Bassett. Like she's great in everything she does. Like this movie is garbage for the most part, and she's still awesome.
I think
it's not
value.
garbage, but it's like, you know, it's hard to say that because there's like some parts where I feel like it's total bullshit and it's stupid, but then there's other parts of this movie that I really liked. So
sure.
I don't know. It's hard for me to make a straight opinion about like whether I like it or not because I'm like so on the fence about it. But
right.
It's the worst in the franchise, in my opinion.
Okay.
Mainly just because
fair.
it doesn't feel Crittersy to me.
Yeah.
It's a different movie. It's basically like a space alien like type. I don't know. And then the story doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it strays a lot. It reminds me like it's trying too much to be like Alien, Event Horizon, like all the other alien in space attack movies.
Right.
You know, and it's like biting off of those, and it's like it just doesn't work for this movie because it's trying to be part of a franchise, right?
Sure.
A franchise that they barely include what made the franchise. Like the critters are barely a part of it, and that bothers me the most out of anything. But Brad Dourif and Angela Bassett are really good in it. Wannabe Steven Seagal is okay in it. He's
kind of doofy.
He's kind of annoying too, but
he plays a good dick, kind of.
He's not really a dick though.
He's just a flippant asshole that's out for himself.
He just wants to get drugs.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. I get it. I hated the captain, Rick the Dick or whatever. I was super glad when he got hit.
You mean Radu?
Whatever. I fucking hate that guy. He's so irritating. So, like, and he's just gross.
Yeah.
Like, if the second you're introduced to his characters, he's
like, what the fuck?
But, I don't know. They did a good-ish job with what was written for them to do, and I feel like they did okay with, like, developing these characters, and writing out these characters. Like, they gave them enough of substance to actually, like, be relatable.
Okay.
And they're not totally just there for no reason.
Right.
Kind of a thing. Like you develop opinions about each person when you don't really get to spend that much time with them, which is, it's pretty well written for those people when you think about it that way. So, I mean, it could have been a million times worse, and I expected it to be, especially when I see it's going to be critters in space. I'm like, oh, Lord, this is going to be ridiculous. But I was kind of hoping that it was going to be like us going to like the critters like home planet or something and seeing some crazy like Fraggle Rock shit or whatever, which I would have been super down for.
Well, you're
and that's not at all what I got, so I'm a little sad.
There's some stuff in the trivia that I have to tell you about that you'll be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's what I was expecting from it, and I obviously didn't get that, so I just got like another wannabe alien movie, and I was like, God damn it.
I mean, I definitely kind of agree with you. I have a little bit of a different couple of points here, though. Is that one that I felt like it was a missed opportunity for me in a lot of areas. Part 3 wasn't amazing, and this one was more of the same, only way more cheese log a little bit and darker as fuck.
Yeah,
like we got Charlie back in space.
I will give them that. It is a lot darker. It's not fun. It's not a fun Critters movie. It's definitely very serious.
Yeah, very serious. I thought so too. We got, like I said, we got Charlie back in space with the critters in space bumping into a crew of humans on a salvage ship, not aliens, which this entire franchise kicks it off with aliens. And it's like, I just feel like, it doesn't bother me that they went back to space necessarily so much, but what it does bother me is that we weren't able to be treated to any kind of creatures, like a group of people being in different, you know what I mean? Like just different diversity of aliens and shit. Like it just would have made it so much more interesting. Like where the bounty hunters were really interesting.
Right.
Because you're curious about them. Some of the ideas in this were okay, but even those had missed opportunities in them too. And there's probably a little bit to explain on that in the trivia. I wrote this sort of before I did the trivia on this, but it did have Brad Dourif, Angela Bassett, and Anders Ho from Subspecies in it. So it's got a pretty decent cast.
Yeah, it really does.
You know, and by the way, the 90s always seemed to be about taking movies and franchises into space, essentially saying, this is where it goes when I've run out of ideas or when I want the franchise to die. Like, we've got Critters 4 in 1992 in space, Hellraiser Bloodline 1996 in space.
Oh my God, that's right.
Leprechaun 4 1997 in space, Jason X or 10 in space, but that was in 2001.
Whatever.
A little late to my sort of theories party, but I still don't doubt it was written in the 90s. You know what I mean? That
they
movie.
take everything to space to kill franchises, basically.
Right.
That's what it feels like.
They even had fucking Dracula 3000, which takes it to space, which is like, holy shit. That was in 2004, but still, you get my point.
Yeah.
But
Either way.
You know, and like you said, I feel like it is definitely an alien nod, like big time. Like, this is totally almost like the same sort of scenario of Alien and how they're like salvage ships or whatever the fuck, the typical space fucking shit that you run into. But I just don't understand why a lot of these franchises wanted to go to space so much.
I know.
So
space is cool. I get it. But
I don't want to get into it too much, but I don't hate every single movie that's in space, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
I don't either.
This one isn't a terrible watch, and now that I've actually seen enough terrible films, you know, by doing this podcast,
for real,
and
I've
also
never
years
seen
of
so
it,
many bad movies,
right? Like, it really shines a different light on these kind of movies that I thought were terrible before, and really they were just a disappointment. Like, I feel like a lot of people get lost up in disappointment in calling a bad movie, when really, when you've seen something as bad as I always mention, Howling 7. And there's probably worse than that.
Oh, God.
Obviously.
I'm sure there is.
But this movie does yield a few fun surprises in the movie, so I can't hate it. And it's a different tone than the rest. Like, it is super dark, like we mentioned. It's also, you know, more critters in some way. I don't mean more as in there's a lot more in this movie, like it should have gone, just more critters in general. And I won't feel bad for watching this one again when I go down the franchise hole in the future again. So it's not like a big deal. I'd say huge fans of Critters movies will be fine with this. Most will detest it. I don't think it was all that bad. It just missed a lot of opportunities to make some aliens and a better story. But, you know, it makes more sense knowing that they didn't have really that much budget after talking about part 3. And, you know, I'm just coming from a viewer perspective, though, and what my expectations are, not knowing the history of it. I really wish I could have seen it go a little bit more 80s sci-fi crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but I'd probably give this one probably a 4. What did you say you would give it?
Did I don't think I rated it yet.
What would you give it?
Same.
About 4?
No, 4.
So that's like a 4 or less.
3.5 or 4.
Yeah. Compared against the other films anyway. But
I said it's the worst of the franchise, in my opinion, which I hold by.
Right.
So
And if you went as far as 3 anyway, and you've never seen it, or maybe, I mean, if you like Charlie in general, and you're a fan of him in any regard, this is really just the story of Charlie becoming a man, pretty much. You know what I mean? Or a bounty hunter.
Right.
I'm a bounty hunter!
Like, stop saying it! God
So
damn
yeah,
it.
this movie gets a 4. 3 gets a 5, so you pretty much already know our order, I think, but Britney's we'll have to like iron out at the end here.
No, mine's literally in franchise order of appearance, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, that's kind of mine too, so spoiler alert.
I mean, yeah.
Well, there is a little bit of trivia on this. I didn't go wild on it, nor did the fucking documentarians of Red Shirt Productions. But they were saying that Rupert, the director, wasn't all too happy about the Critters for part 4 because the Kyoto brothers had pretty much blown their budget on the Critters that were supposed to be carried on into the next movie.
Right.
And they weren't going to put all their like special help on it. They just had their crew work on it. And so he was not happy about how they ended up. But he also wanted to make this movie so dark in tone and like make it like this completely other thing that I think it kind of changed it for a lot of people. Even Barry Opper said that he wouldn't let his 10 or 11-year-old kid watch the 4th one because of its dark tone.
Yeah, it's definitely... I liked that about it.
Right, I feel like it could have been wild and crazy at that point.
Right, it's not as silly, but I'm like, at the same time, if you're going to go that kind of route, these aren't really like the creatures to do it.
Right.
You know?
I think he just wanted to do his version, and this is the only movie he did, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Rupert? I don't remember.
As far as directing, I know
yeah,
that he only
did
wrote
this.
3 and 4. So yeah, he probably only directed this too.
Yeah, he only directed this, and he actually is a producer. He actually helped produce Critters 3. He did Crossworld's Bones, and he's helping produce the TV series Critters, the new binge coming out.
Oh, that's cool.
So, also, I did want to mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, guys, but the writer on this movie, who is David J. Shaw, or Show, I hope I'm saying that right, he is working on an anthology film called Splatterpunk that has me super curious.
I know, I am too.
So you guys might want to keep your eyes out for that one.
It's in post right now, right?
I don't know. I didn't see it say post or anything. It just, I saw it as like, you might be right about post though. But back on trivia, the set that they did for this, I thought was pretty cool. And they talk about it quite a bit because they said that the guy who worked on it did like magic. And
yes, that's not bad.
The one of the producers who worked on the set design and everything like that actually went on to work for Lord of the Rings. So he's obviously not doing too bad.
Right.
And he learned how to squeeze a nickel for every, penny it's got. You know what I mean? So they were even going to use this set of that to try to, David Shaw was like, hey, why don't we make a quick Roger Corman 10, 11 day shoot sort of movie with the same set, because it's just like a waste if we don't. And they never got to. So, but it was a pretty cool set. Like, I thought it was a decent set.
Didn't they use pieces from some other movie?
Maybe. They usually do that kind of stuff in studios, but I don't think so. I think they just use trash.
Leftover pieces from some other like alien movie or some shit.
Oh, they did have, I think it was in part 3, Critters 3. They had something from like Commando, some of the leftover stuff from Commando. But I don't think in part 4, I don't remember hearing anything anyway. But they were going to make a haunted space movie with that set that they never got to do.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have really that many.
I like weird space movies. So I
like weird, cheesy, fucking like Roger Corman 80s fucking sci-fi movies, like sci-fi horror. So,
I agree with that. I don't hate everything that goes to space either, but.
They were kind of talking about how all of them, like, wrapping the whole franchise up and, like, what they thought of it, and were they proud of it, and they all were very proud to have worked on it, and they really loved the franchise, regardless of how well it did. They said they never had any issues working on any of the movies ever, and it was just it was a pleasure. They only have fond memories. But the Kyoto brothers said that they would, and this is where I mentioned you earlier why you might like this, but they said that they would love to see what happened on the prison asteroid Sector 17 before it in a prequel, and why they got sent to that on the prison planet or prison asteroid.
Yeah, missed opportunity.
And he was like, man, that's a really good idea. They should do that.
That's cool. Maybe they'll do that for the series.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about it. They kind of left it open for people to do what they wanted after it, but...
Are the brothers involved for the series, too?
I don't see anything about them being on the new binge. So it doesn't say who's working on Critters a new binge for it just yet, but we'll check it out.
Okay.
We'll see. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll get credits just for like their design.
Their original creation.
Yeah, because that's kind of what they do with like story. That's why you see Gary Brandner on every fucking Howling movie.
Yeah.
Even though like he had really nothing to do with all of them. So
he's probably like, stop including me.
But that's pretty much all I had for the trivia anyway, so...
Yeah, there's not a lot for either of these movies.
Yeah, well, these aren't the most popular ones, and it's you're lucky to have found anything, really.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. So I was like, I'm getting like 3 pieces of information. It's good enough.
At this point, we're probably going to be spoiling a lot for you guys, so if you don't want to listen, if you do, let's go down the fucking hellhole together. Let's do this. So, the movie starts off with pretty much how the third one ended, with the whole pod crashing, Charlie putting the eggs in the storage, and then he gets accidentally shut in this movie.
Accidentally.
Yeah. Fast forward to space, like they show space, and all of a sudden you see what it looks like you're zooming through space, but really it's just a kid juggling balls that look like planets. And he's marking his calendar, and it's July 2342, 500 years into the future. So he's on this spaceship, and you see Brad Dourif's character, Angela Bassett, too, and the crew find the pod in space, and they're looking to score a little beer money, as they say. That's what Brad Dourif's character says, Al. But they get a call from Tetra of the TerraCorp, and offer the salvage ship 3 times the regular salvage price. And he's about to argue with the TerraCorp guy, Rick the Dick, the captain, and Angela makes it go fuzzy, and she's like, "Hold on, I think we're losing you, huh?"
It's Ugg, by the way, TerraCorp guy or whatever.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but they don't say his name yet.
Yeah, because Charlie hasn't.
But Angela Bassett, she loses the signal on purpose because she can tell that the captain's like gonna try to like get more out of him, and she's like, "Take the offer." She's like, because they apparently are afraid of TerraCorp. So they don't want to mess with them because they're kind of like new to them. They're aliens to them, but it's 500 years in the future, so they kind of have some idea of them. And they end up landing on one of TerraCorp's like nearest stations, which is like 3 days fucking travel time away. And they find that it's derelict and abandoned, and everybody is left. And then they find out, that basically later on you find out that the core of the station is about to explode, which is a big thing. But they get on the ship and they're all going their different ways. Bernie wants to find the pharmacy to hook up on drugs. Angela Bassett's character, Fran, goes to the shower. And while Fran's showering, Captain Rick the Dick tries to put on the moves on her in the shower.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And he's like handing her a towel, and she punches him in the face, and he's like all wet, and the look on his face is pretty fucking priceless.
Yeah, it was good.
That was actually really good. Like, he looked really angry, and like the other guys, Bernie and like somebody else, is like laughing.
It's Brad Dourif's character.
Oh, Al.
Al, and then Bernie are laughing at him, and then Ethan's like, just
mind your own fucking business.
Ethan gets shoved into the wall a second time, and he didn't even do anything.
Like Jesus.
Poor little dude.
And he storms off louder than an 8-year-old, that has to go to bed. Poor little fella.
No.
But he decides to, of course, beat on the pod because he's angry about his genitalia not being touched and his face getting smashed by fucking badass Angela Bassett.
So great.
And he's like trying to figure out what's inside, I guess, and then he shoots it a few times with like this big ass laser gun. Meanwhile, Al, Brad Dourif's character, and Ethan trick the computer to give them access to the station. And how they do it is so stupid. Like, they're making fun of the model because it's an old station, and they're making fun of like the AI unit inside of the station, which is named Angela. And they simply say they want to get access to security because they realize that the ship's going to blow up.
Right.
So in order for Brad to get her to give him access, she's like, "You do not have clearance." And she was like, "Angela, do not give me access to security. Absolutely do not." She's like, "Security access granted." Like, that's not how AI works.
It's like this reverse psychology type like concept.
Yeah, like a fucking Looney Tunes joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's stupid. And then he's like, "Oh, just like my ex-wife."
Yeah. Yeah, he did say
or
that.
whatever. Like, she does.
Can't believe it. Just like my ex-wife.
Does the opposite of whatever I tell her. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. So stupid.
It's funny though. But they find out, the station's nuclear core, and it's about to go critical in what they say a month, and that's why everyone left. But it does seem to be like a running gag in the movie with that AI voice, Angela, as Ethan can't figure out how to take the elevator anywhere because the AI is arguing with him. He's like, "Take me down to floor 4. And she's like, "Down is a relative term in space where we do not have a down or up."
I know. It's like, oh my God.
And
That
he's
was like 5 minutes of shenanigans.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
I was like, just walk there. Take the stairs. You gotta have stairs.
They don't really show how he figures it out, but he takes it down to the loading bay where they drop the fucking pod off. for the TerraCore people, and he runs into Captain Rick, who is having a Tommy Wiseau moment. And boy, does he sort of act like him too, a little bit in this moment. I don't know why. Like, I'm not trying to make fun of him because I liked him in Subspecies and everything, but like he does for whatever reason. Seeing him be normal kind of reminds me of Tommy Wiseau. What are you doing, Mark? Like, like I don't fucking know. But like he decides he's gonna beat the shit out of Ethan, of course, with a fire extinguisher across the face. And then chains him up, too, for some fucking weird reason. Like, angry as fuck. Like, he's still mad his genitals are small.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's just some, like, man rage.
Yeah, totally.
Weird man rage. I don't get it.
He finally cracks open the pod, and Charlie fumbles out like, oh, thank you, man. You saved my life. I've been in there forever. And then he searches the pod cabin. He's like, well, clearly you're not. He's like, are you it? There's got to be something more in it than you. And Charlie's like, we're in space, aren't we? Are we in space? Yeah, I think we're in space.
Charlie.
But
this is stupid.
He goes, the Rick the Dick captain goes in there, and he had accidentally shot the cooling bay inside of the pod with his laser gun, which the Krite hatches, and like comically one of them bites his arm and then jumps into his mouth.
Dope. With
his little legs kicking.
It was so cute. It was so cute. He's got like little duck legs. I loved it so much. It was the cutest shit.
It looked kind of gory.
It's fucking creepy. Like, it's weird. Like, because his mouth is all expanded out because this fucking critter is inside eating him from the inside of his mouth and his throat and shit, literally. It's fucked up. Like, I thought so. It's pretty gory. And he's banging this one critter against the wall a million times, the one that's on its arm, as he's just getting eaten alive from the inside of his mouth with this other critter that's kicking its little feet. He's like, I don't know, like, it cracked me up, and it chokes him out though, and he dies. He does, and it was so good. Fun. I loved his death. His death was the most brutal. Yeah, you fucking die, you piece of shit. But asshat. Charlie, there's like this little comical moment in there too, where like Charlie is fumbling with a laser gun. And you see the like blue light on top of one of the critters' heads, and he shoots off the hair of one of the critters. Do you remember? And it was like a little baby critter. Yeah. Yeah. Poor thing. Kind of like no they did anymore. In part 2, where he's like, bitchin'. Yeah. So I thought it was kind of silly. It was a little funny moment. But then Charlie helps down Ethan, and they both kind of go to find the critters, and like he tells them the story about everything. But the other part of the crew goes down to the bay and finds dead Captain Rick the Dick. And they kind of are like, where's Ethan? You know, like, what's going on? Like, they don't understand what's happened, but they see like some weird shit's happening. But Ethan and Charlie end up falling into the disposal system in this like weird Star Wars homage. Remember? Yeah. Like, which Angela, the station AI, says they will dump the waste with them in it. And they're like, we're not waste. And she's like, waste does not actually respond. And I do not accept waste speaking to me or something like that. Yeah, pretty much like, I don't listen to waste particles or something like that. Yeah. Which is a running joke that occurs again later when it's really funny when it does, actually. Like at the end, I was like, nah. Fucking bitch. Right? They pull the, the old opposite game, basically. I don't take orders from waste products or something like that, yeah. Yeah, okay. But they pull that old opposite game with her again, and she falls for it and lets them out, but it just stops the counter of disposing them out into space, and they go through a air vent? I guess, like the most strangely placed air vent in the world. Right, like, which is kind of weird, like, but whatever, it's, it's a low budget film. So Charlie, he then finds out that he's 500 years old. And this is where Bernie's a huge prick. Oh, yeah. Because he's like, wait, let me see your ID. Like, Ethan's like, let me see your ID. And he's like, this is like 50 years expired. And he's like, 50 years? It was just, it's probably expires next year. And he's like, no. And then they find out that he's like, it should be 1991 or whatever the fuck it was. And he was like, Charlie, it's 2,342. You're half a century old. And he's like, wait, so that means everyone I know, yep, they're dead. Fucking toast. Bernie's all yelling at him. I'm like, damn, dude. He needs his drugs, okay? He's clearly fiending. It's like, I don't want to have this conversation. Yeah. Just give me fucking They're Adderall. All dead. Fuck you. I need some Adderall, some fucking... whatever these blue space pills are. What's the synthetic heroin called? Fucking, Oxycontin. Oh, okay. It's like, give me some Oxycontin.
God damn it, his fucking
Methadone.
stupid ass. But
I'm trying to think of the other one. Suboxone. That's the word I'm looking for.
he is actually craving like drugs at that point in time. So he starts rummaging through the station's pharmacy because he finds the key card or whatever. And he's like in heaven and he drops it all over the floor and shit. And they're like, hey, there's critters coming outside of your door. You might want to get out of there like right now. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I'll be there in a second. Like, no, now. Like, you're going to die, you dildo.
Yeah, well.
So he dies, of course, which 2 critters decide to kill him on top of his pills.
Drug addict.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's like gold, you know?
Drug addict mentality. I don't give a fuck. You just need your drugs. I don't care if there's a gun to your head. And it's like, if you have the option to take your drugs, you're going to take your drugs.
As he's dying, he's like trying to crush up some pills. Yeah. I ain't going out like this.
I'm going to die. Motherfucker. Steven Seagal.
But, no, you're fine. But Brad Dourif's character is like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh, why I hate him, by the way, why he annoys me is because he smacks his gum the entire fucking movie. Like, he has gum in his mouth the whole time, and he's, like, smacking it as he's talking and chewing it loudly. I hate that.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So it's, like, a big pet peeve thing for me.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, I love Brad Dourif, so
you better watch yourself now, and everybody's going to hear your voice when you do it, and I won't be able to cut them out. You're fucked, Britni. You set the precedence. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't like gum smacking annoys the shit.
I was wondering why you didn't
me.
like him.
So annoying. I can't listen to him talk because it's like I get so distracted. You know what I mean? It's like when people chew food with their mouth open or talk with food in their mouth.
Sure,
like
bothers you.
Or when I'm talking to someone on the phone and they're eating on the other end. You know what I mean?
I don't mind that.
I can't do it. I don't like listening.
I mean,
to
if they're like
chew.
chomping down, like I'll tell people, I'll be like, "Yo, dude, I'm eating because you called me in the middle of me eating."
Yeah, I can't stand like people chewing. I don't know. Wait, stop. Nope. Nope.
Anyway,
it's a weird trigger thing for me. I don't know, and it's not uncommon. A lot of people hate it, but
but he does say one thing that I did like, which is like, let's get the fuck out of here. I don't give a fuck about anybody or anything. They can deal with this mess themselves.
Yeah. And
they run, and the station detects a leak suddenly. So clearly the station's about to blow because the radiation or something. I don't know. And then it locks them in a hallway, but they escape somewhere through some bottom floor access panel. And meanwhile, the critters have accessed the station's main hub. They're like sitting at the big desk and like typing all comically and like looking for an escape pod. And they like set a course for Earth. Like they show that they're headed back to Earth. But, they finally get on the salvage ship that they were originally on, and Al shows Charlie his antique revolver and bullets, and this was kind of
like Colt 45 or
whatever. It was like a Colt 45.
Which is pretty funny.
And he's like, well, I've always been a 38 special kind of man, you know, myself. And he's like delicately handing him, he's like, do you have any bullets for these? And he's like, yeah, and he like opens it like delicately, like it's some antique dealer, and he just grabs them, and he's just like, whatever. Charlie's like
5 of the bullets.
He's like, I don't know if they'll work. There might be a few in there. He's like, yeah, every now and then, I'll get a couple duds in there every now and then.
Such is life. Sometimes you just get some duds every now and then.
Right? But the funny thing is like Charlie's like they find the critters again, and Charlie starts firing the gun and kills one of them, but after shooting bullets into the whole fucking mainframe of the ship inside the fucking thing. And Ethan calls him a fucking idiot. He's like, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
but I got him.
He's like, but I got him though, right? I killed him.
Right. Yeah, you fucked up the ship.
Everybody's like literally hates him at this point in time. Yeah. And, I mean, it totally feels bad, man. But, you know, it's like poor little Charlie. He's a little slow. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that.
It's not a little slow. He was just an alcoholic, so he's fucking retarded now.
He's got that wet brain.
Yep. He's got squish brain.
But they finally get to the salvage ship anyway, and then Ethan sort of storms off with the revolver off the ship and back into the station.
Which I feel like at this point doesn't have any bullets left in it, but okay.
I think he shot like 4 times, so there's like 2.
Yeah.
I think there was like 2 or 3.
I think there's only 5 bullets.
I don't know how many were in there.
4 times at least. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever shot a like that kind of revolver, to be honest.
No, I just only remember there being like 5 bullets in the thing. And I think he shot 4 times inside the thing, so there might be 1 left, if that, but...
Well, that makes sense then, because what happens later.
Yeah.
So... But he does storm off, and you don't know why he's storming off. And like, fucking Al's like, where are you going? We need you. And Ethan's like, has like a child tantrum at this point. And he's like, you're not my father! You're not my fucking father!
It's like, okay, then.
It's like, calm down. And he just like walks off. He's like, fine, I'll go make a Chucky movie.
Right. Right. Well, what are you, like 30 years old? Like, why are you screaming, you're not my father? Like, what the fuck is happening?
I don't know. He's like 20s or something. I don't know. But anyway, Ethan stumbles upon some critter eggs and that have hatched. And one is setting up the metabolic chamber that they showed earlier in the fucking movie, making baby crites grow faster, which is at first it excited me. You know what I mean? Because I hadn't seen this in a while, and I was like getting it confused, I think, with Leprechaun 4 and like Forbidden Planet, I think, or something like that. Because they kind of do something very similar in that in one of those movies. But I thought, like, oh, fuck, like, they're going to get really giant critters now, right? No, they just make them grow to regular Part 3 size.
Yeah,
which
critter size.
I thought was a huge opportunity missed, but again, the budget things, but it still kind of blows. I think I might have gotten, like I said, confused with one of those movies, Leprechaun 4 in space, because he does grow big. They have that scene, and I think Forbidden World or Forbidden Planet or whatever the fuck it is. But so Ethan runs off as another ship approaches quickly, and it's TerraCore. So they're ready to come pick up their salvage from the pod or whatever. And you see Charlie and the gang run into Ugg, who they're like, oh, they're here. Finally, they're going to save us. And Ugg is being like fucking dark and cold to him. And Fran walks up to Ugg and says, I don't know who you are, what you think your game is. And Ugg just fucking bitch slaps like, the fuck out of her. Fuck.
Like across the, I was like, Jesus fucking
yeah,
Christ.
She like knocks out too. She's like out cold. And then he shoots Al.
Yeah,
Brad
Al
Dourif's
gets in his
character.
face.
Yeah, Al's like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And he just shoots him. Like, whoa, Ugg, like calm the fuck down.
Right in the gut. And I was like, no, Brad Dourif's dead.
Yeah, I know. Like, just shitty death,
Shoot
too.
the other kid.
He just falls dead. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Charlie's like, I guess you got a promotion, huh? Things change, Charlie. Things change. And so that'll play a factor in towards the end there, by the way. But Ugg's samurai stormtrooper looking dudes hunt down the rest of the crew, but Ethan sort of closes the door and leads them into like the metabolic chamber, and they get shredded by the like remaining critters who got turned into big ones, and you hear him screaming. He's like, yeah, take that, you piece of shit. And then
You piece of shit.
Ugg is like yelling at them at the other part of the crew. Where are they? And Ethan grabs a few eggs and starts juggling them from around the corner. And like, oh, I got to be careful. Don't want to drop one of these. And he drops it. And Ugg's like, oh, no. And then he throws another one and he's like down to one. And he chucks it up in the air over Ugg's face. And then I think Angela punches him in the face. Ugg.
She
knocks him the
pistol
fuck
whips
out.
him.
Oh.
Yeah, she fucking straight up pistol whips him because she took the gun from Ethan's like back of his belt because he had it in the back or whatever
when he walked in front of her.
Yeah, so she took it, and I was like, she's gonna shoot him in the face. She's gonna shoot him in the face. It's gonna be awesome. But instead, she pistol whips the shit out of Ugg. It was hilarious. It was like perfect retribution. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. But yeah, so they walk away and apparently one of the critters charges Ethan as they're trying to get into the ship to like escape on Ugg's ship, I guess. And he sticks the nitrogen pump in the critter's mouth. And yeah, it's like screaming and then it freezes and he's like, chill out, asshole.
Yeah, that was dumb. Not necessary.
And you're like, okay, thank God that's over. And then they kick it and it busts against the wall and shatters all red, which is weird because it was like green blood in all of them.
I don't know.
Anyway, but he looks at Al on the floor and he's like picking up his glasses because he's like sad that Brad Dourif's character died. And you see Ugg put a gun against Ethan's head, like a laser pistol. And Charlie points the gun at Ugg.
A laser pistol?
Yeah, it must have been or
I
something.
know, I'm saying I want one. It's cool.
Oh, of course, who doesn't want a fucking goddamn laser pistol? I want a laser pistol.
Pew, pew. I wanted to make that noise, though.
Pew, pew. Oh, my God.
Pew.
That's only in Star Wars, I
It's
think.
fucking perfect. That's the kind I want.
But during this point, they're like having this dilemma and, because they're all pointing guns at each other and fucking Charlie's like, you can't do it, Charlie. And he's like, things change, Ugg. And Ugg turns to Charlie to like try to shoot him in the head. And then Charlie just like, pop! Right in the fucking head, right in the center of this fucking skull. And he just fucking drops like a sack of shit on the ground. And I gotta say, the twist with Ugg being this like evil fucking guy, it doesn't sit right with me. You know what I mean?
They don't explain it.
Like,
There's
the bounty hunters were always a little cold and distant.
Right.
But they were never fucking assholes.
No, and there's no explanation as to why this is happening.
Right.
Like, why is he all of a sudden, like, this bad person, like, that doesn't care about anybody else and wants to kill people?
Right.
For the critters?
I think Terrence Mann did a good job as him.
Yeah, but...
I don't think anything wrong about Terrence Mann, but I just thought it was a weird choice.
No, it was weird. I didn't like it either.
It really bothered me because it's like, I was like, they're finally back after not being there in part 3, technically.
Right.
And then it's like, that's what we get? Like, no, that's a huge letdown, dude. That's very disappointing.
Right.
But they did say in the documentary about it, they were like, there was this like running theory that we made up about whether, Ugg was a clone or not. And there was like a good version of Ugg and a bad version of Ugg. And like they could have fought later on in some other movie. So like the good Ugg comes back or something. They tossed around that idea. But they ended up not doing it, and they just used the evil one.
That hasn't been done to death.
Even Terrence Mann was like, dude, I'd do another fucking Critters movie. Hell yeah. He's like, I'd come back as Ugg any day, man.
Payday.
He's like, and they were like, well, what'd you come back as? Good Ugg or bad Ugg? And he was like, oh, I'd do both. I think it'd be cool to do both. And I was like, shit. So I wonder if that may be in the cards at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
But they take an escape pod, and Angela, the AI does a countdown for the station to explode as they're drifting off in the pod, right? And she's counting down, but when it reaches the number, it doesn't explode.
No, it explodes at 5.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
5 seconds left, but before that, he says something to Angela or whatever, and she's like, I'm sorry, but I don't take orders from waste products or whatever, and I was like, it's fucking hilarious. And then it's like...
She was like, they're like, of course it did the wrong countdown.
Yeah, it's like, figure she can't count either. I'm like...
It's like the worst AI ever and one of the most fucking advanced fucking computers in the entire world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like Alexa.
So then for whatever reason, like Angela's character, Fran, and the Ethan kid get up to go do something. And like, they're like, don't touch anything, Charlie. And he like is looking like nervous, and then he kind of stands up, puts on his sunglasses, and he sits down in the captain's chair, and he's like, this is Captain Charles McFadden. And he pushes a red button all slow, and then the pod starts spiraling out of control, and it's like cue fun country happy music. And
it like goes back towards the ship that just blew up.
Is that what it was?
It's weird.
I didn't see that.
It goes backwards from it goes opposite directions of where it was going. And I was like, what is the point of this?
It's a really weird ending for such a tonally dark movie. You know what I mean? Like some of the funny moments really weren't funny because it just didn't fit. It didn't fit tonally, but yeah, he wanted this like stark space epic saga, and the director, and like it was, like it had its funny moments, but the way that they made it and then put the music to it, like the music was okay, but it was like dark,
Yeah.
So
also, why would you leave him alone with anything?
Right.
He's like a fucking 5-year-old.
Yeah,
child.
like tie him to the fucking chair, like knock him out, whatever you gotta do.
His ass in there.
He's a liability. We've talked about this in the past.
Freeze him. Do something. Throw him off the ship. I don't give a fuck. Like, why? I'm like, of course he's gonna touch a fucking button. Like, I was kind of hoping he'd just explode the ship.
He does it all slow, like he's like rubbing on a labia or a nipple or something. Oh yeah, red button.
Playing with it, and it's weird.
You know what it reminds me of is like fucking salad fingers. Where he's like, oh, the red water.
I like when the red water comes out. Rusty spoons.
Rusty spoons.
Fucking salad fingers. I still haven't watched the new one.
I did. It's weird.
It's always weird.
Yeah, they took them like 10 months to make that, so I wouldn't expect a new one anytime soon.
Yeah, which is nuts to me. I'm like,
Right,
they used to
dude.
crank that shit out like every week.
Well, yeah, I think he did. It was just one guy who did it, though, so you're going to remember. Like, that's a lot
Yeah.
to visualize, so. But on a whole, though, what are your final thoughts, about this? We already know your order, 1 through 4.
Yeah, literally, like, release order, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Same here for me, so.
I don't know. This is not...
On the franchise as a whole, then.
Yeah. This is overall, like, a pretty decent franchise, in my opinion, so... I feel like they stopped when they should have stopped, or they could have stopped at 3. I almost feel like they should have stopped at 3, but 4 wasn't horrible. It just wasn't necessarily a Critters movie, in my opinion. I'm glad that they stopped making them after 4 and they didn't continue on anymore because they could have went real fucking bad.
Yeah.
And
well, I don't think there's going to be much funding for it, though. But
yeah, which is fine. Like, just stop.
Right.
I kind of feel like they should have stopped it too, or just stopped after 3 and not have to taken it into space. But whatever. I've seen worse franchises.
Yeah.
Obviously. So, and there are worse franchises out too that I have yet to see. I can guarantee it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. There's worse movies that we just.
It's like a thing in horror, like where we just want to like overdo everything. I feel like we just beat a dead horse like a million times. Where it's like, oh, we have a successful franchise, so let's make 12 other fucking movies following it that are all going to be really loosely based on the character. And
I feel like sometimes depending on the crew or the producers, they like enjoyed working on it, so they want to do it again.
Yeah.
Or
and it's like, and I get it, and I understand like the mentality behind why.
Yeah,
that happens.
Feels like these are passion movies for them in a way. Yeah. Like there was enough success, and they kind of wanted to just continue it.
They did keep 2 of the main actors,
right,
throughout all of the movies,
right,
which is pretty cool. Even though Ugg's only in for like 5 seconds of the third one, like it doesn't matter. Like they still kept one core actor from number 1 that went all the way to 4. And that's pretty unheard of in any franchises. Like they don't really continue past like the second or third movie. So I don't know, like they did overall a pretty good job. It's an enjoyable franchise for me. It's, it's one that I would watch again. Yeah. If I had to, I guess. Like,
it's not something you just actively seek out.
Am I willingly going to go watch it again? Probably not.
Right. But you probably watch part 1.
Yeah. I love part 1. I think part 1's just a classic. Like I don't, it's not one of my favorite movies personally, but it's up there. Like I said on last week, like I like Gremlins more than I like Critters, but yeah, I don't like Gremlins that much either. So, there's just something about...
I've been wanting to watch Gremlins 1 and 2 now. Yeah. Just because of this movie, honestly.
I like the Gremlins movies, but yeah, again, it's just not my favorite thing. I don't like cute little cute things or whatever. Like, I just want to kick them. Like, they don't freak me out. They don't scare me. Like,
I just think it's fun.
And it is fun. And that's what I liked about when you suggested wanting to do this franchise. I was like, sweet, it'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. And, you can thoroughly enjoy all of these movies. Not so much the 4th one. The 4th one's a little dry, but...
I don't ever really remember being scared of the Critters movies. Like,
no, when I saw it when I was a kid, I wasn't scared of it.
Yeah.
So...
But for me, this is like a huge nostalgia trip for me. I haven't seen parts 3 and 4 in like forever, it feels like. I feel like I did watch them semi-recently, but I definitely did not watch 4. Like, I don't remember 4. I haven't seen 4 since probably 90s, maybe like early 2000s. Right. Like, so it's been a while, but it was really, I think all of these movies belong together in the franchise, whether you like them or not, like whoever you are listening, whoever. I feel like they all work together. And if you're a fan of Charlie and you've ever thought he was endearing in any form, it's like the telling of him becoming a man or becoming a bounty hunter or whatever,
not
watching
being a drunk anymore.
They calling watching somebody from innocent to, like a man, a tainted man or whatever. So it's kind of an interesting, but I found like did you catch anything else in this movie? Like I remember Dominic Muir, who wrote the original screenplay in the first one, said that there was a Western theme and they all kept that true to every single one of them. They did it in part 3 when Charlie disappears and does the classic like, lone man walks away and they thought he just left without saying goodbye or getting any thanks, even though he helped them all. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't want anything. So it was just part of the job. And that was kind of a very Western-y kind of thing where he would just like walk off and disappear or something. There was also the trope of strong women in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, you had Dee Wallace in part 1 and the sister who essentially raped Billy Zane. I mean, can you blame her though?
No.
Huh?
I'd rape Billy
Huh?
Zane.
Am I right?
I mean, I wouldn't rape him, but I'd touch his butt. Fine.
I mean, not for me, but you get the point. But I'm just saying, like, it has some role reversal there. Yeah, part 2, Megan, as she's the tough, hard-nosed reporter who, you know, kind of takes charge. She's, like, ready to take on the situation, you know what I mean? In part 3, you have Annie, the lead, being in control and kicking ass, and the neighbor Marcia, who I kept calling Sarah Connor. You know what I mean? Even though she kind of bumbled her way into the, you know, catching herself on fire.
She was stuck outside the entire time.
Oh, my God! But then
where'd she go?
And you also have the old lady, Mrs. Menges, whatever. I just don't know how to say that name.
Menges.
Old lady Menges. She's got a bad case of the Menges. Menses? What is that?
Period.
Menstrual cycle, Jesus.
Menses.
With the, but she had that, like, the cleaver, you know? And then in part 4, you got Angela Bassett punching dudes like a beast. And her living to the end. So it kind of broke a little bit of the tropes and, you know, did a little bit more than a lot of 80s and 90s movies really gave some women or, you know, whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting to point out. But another theme is, yeah, just the Charlie growing, like becoming stronger and more smart as he went on.
Right.
You know, not as bumbly by the 4th film.
He's not drunk anymore.
Yeah, well, so for all you guys out there who are drinking right now and thinking about changing, you can become a bounty hunter. Like, I mean, all it takes is...
It's like the guy with the mullet.
Yeah, dude. Like, you can be somebody. Like, you don't have to just drink your life away, man. Just get out there and follow the old Charlie method, you know? Get out there, kill some fucking Krites. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed our breakdowns of these movies and what we thought about them. We'll probably be a little while before we do a franchise again, but we probably will do, like, record, like, 1 through 4.
There's 4 of those?
Yeah, 4 of them.
Lord.
Yeah. So we'll do those in the future. We have done some of them in the past. I think we did 1 and 2 or something, or just 2. But we'll do them again later, in a few months or so. But just to remember, we won't be back next week, but when we do return the following week, we will be back with the Grave Plots. So expect to have your minds fucking blown with our goddamn genius creations. If you don't know what Grave Plots is and you're just listening for the first time, holy fuck, what have you been missing? Go back and check out all the episodes of all the movies that we made up on the spot by pulling a name out of a hat. All right? Thank you guys so much for coming by this week. And as always,
stay weird, monsters.
Tune in every Monday from